Yep. Thank you, ma'am.
So EMF induced. So this is the outcome.
పడిపోతే ఎట్లా అబ్బా?
Hello, Maya.
So also by the trigonometry. So this is all.
ఓయమ్మ వెంకటరమణ గోవింద్.
Good afternoon. I extend my hearty welcome to each and everyone. The moment is special for us, and we all are gathered here for the day to make it more important. Myself, Sridipti, pursuing third year from the Department of Triply from SV Colleges. Let's start this webinar with a prayer. Prayer is an action. It is the process of talking with God with energy in order to achieve a purpose. So let's begin this webinar by seeking the blessing of Lord Almighty with a prayer song. బాసర సరస్వతి బంగారు బొమ్మ దోసిలి ఒక్కితి మీది వించవమ్మ బాసర సరస్వతి బంగారు బొమ్మ దోసిలి ఒక్కితి మీది వించవమ్మ శరణు 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 శ్రీ సరస్వతి శరణు 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 జ్ఞాన సరస్వతి శరణు నిసరి మరి సరి మ పని ప మ పని సరి మరి సని స నిసరి ని స మ పని మ ప రి మ పని ప మరి సని రి స. వాసర సరస్వతి బంగారు బొమ్మ కవుల కలములను ముందుకు కదిలించమ్మా గాయకుల వెంట నిలచి నిండి వరలుమమ్మ విద్యార్థుల వెంట నిలచి విజయమొసగుమమ్మ నీ పుత్రులకెటుపోయిన ఎదురు లేదు కదమ్మా శరణు 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 శ్రీ సరస్వతి శరణు 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 జ్ఞాన సరస్వతి శరణు. Thank you. Welcome to this webinar on Frugal Innovations for Sustainable Development. I request everyone to please mute your microphone and turn off your video. Now, I take the pleasure of inviting our dynamic, hardworking, and a supportive true leader, none other than Dr. N. Sudhakar Reddy sir, Principal of SVCE. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon to one and all. Today's distinguished chief guests and dignitaries of today's webinar, Dr. Lisa from Germany and Dr. Rajneesh Tiwari, Hamburg, and the main man behind this webinar, Mr. Narendra, scientist, CMIT Bangalore, and respected principal of SV Engineering College, Dr. T. Kalpalata Reddy Garu, and convener of today's webinar, Dr. K. Sudhir, and faculty members and other coordinators of SV colleges, and my dear student friends, very good afternoon to one and all. This is a great opportunity to know about frugal innovations for sustainable development. Every year, many of our SVCE students are coming out with good ideas and innovative products. So, but this is a new kind of thing. We can do better with less, with inexpensive things. We can do more innovations. This is the main idea behind this webinar. I request the resource persons once again to encourage our students to do frugal innovations. And my sincere thanks once again to all the coordinators, conveners, and resource persons providing this wonderful opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Now I request today's event organizer, Dr. K. Sudhir sir, to invite today's honorable chief guest.
Thank you, Principal sir, for giving me this opportunity to conduct this international webinar. And thank you, Deepthi, for inviting me. Now, I would like to take the pleasure in inviting the today's guests as well as speakers from Germany. So first of all, as for the schedule, I'll be inviting Sri Lisa ma'am from German University. So before going to start her session, I'll just want to throw and remind one beautiful word given by our missile man, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam sir. So sir said, all birds find shelter during rain, but eagle avoids rain by flying above clouds. So why I have taken this means, so ma'am is one of the example and exactly suits for this word, this particular quote given by Abdul Kalam sir. So ma'am has several credits in her account. I'll just picked up some of the points because I have gone through the profile of ma'am. So there are a lot more to say about the ma'am. So among them, the best are. So ma'am is expert on frugal innovation and human factors. So currently ma'am is working in R&D of Fraunhofer Institute for Industrial Engineering, Germany. And in her credit, ma'am from since 2019 worked as research assistant in the field of advanced systems engineering and head of the Center for Frugal Products and production systems at Fraunhofer IAO and IPA. Since 2014, ma'am has given several lectures in the field of innovation, technology, and project management. Apart from that, ma'am has a special interest in different areas, and her in a particular sense, ma'am has certified research assistant at the in 2002 to 2005. Ma'am has got certified research assistant at the Institute of Ergonomics and Technology Management at the University of Stuttgart. So, along with this, ma'am has 50 plus research articles as well as publications book in the form of book chapters as well as books in her credit. Now I will humbly request today's guest, Sri Lisa ma'am, please take over the session and deliver the valuable words as well as innovations to our participants. Ma'am, I kindly request you to take up the session.
Thank you very much for your kind introduction. I hope you can hear me fine.
Yes, ma'am. It's clear.
Excellent. Okay, I will share my presentation. One second. Okay. Excuse me, I'll try again.
No issues, ma'am. Please go ahead, ma'am.
Seems I have a problem with sharing my presentation. It says that.
No issues, ma'am. Can you please drop me the PPT in WhatsApp or mail, ma'am? I'll be help you in presenting.
I'll try one more time. See.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Can you see my presentation?
It's visible. Visible, madam.
Yes, ma'am. It's visible, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much for inviting me today to do a presentation on frugal innovation. I'm really very passionate about this topic. We've been working on it, doing research on it, and consulting projects for the last many years. And there's always something new to be learned, and always some additional exciting examples we can see. So for me, this is really a topic that never gets boring. I'm going to show you some of our lessons learned today, but first I will give you just a very short background on myself. As already said, I'm the head of the Center for Frugal Products and Manufacturing Systems at Fraunhofer IAO and IPA in Stuttgart, Germany. We do research projects and frugal innovation. We do transfer projects like consulting projects with the industry. We also have larger innovation networks of companies, and we have a number of events like seminars, lectures, and so on. And the center is funded by the local government of the state of Baden-Württemberg. This is our team. So we have two heads of the center. Besides myself, there is Uwe Schleinkofer from another Fraunhofer Institute. And then we have a couple of colleagues supporting us depending on the specific topic that is considered. We also have a Frugal Innovation Lab in Stuttgart. We've set up a larger space which is called Next Lab. It includes a maker space. It includes a demonstration area where you can see different examples of frugal innovation. You can take them in your hand, you can look at them, you can try them out. And then we have a frugal creativity space, which is a room where you can come up with new creative ideas. And it's very much been designed from the start as a very frugal environment, which means very simple, but still robust and also very sustainable, with a lot of plants, with a lot of wood and things like that. Okay, I want to start by giving you our understanding of frugal innovation and some examples. I've brought along some examples from Europe. I'm sure you've heard all about the many examples of great frugal innovations from India. So today in my lecture, I wanted to give you a perspective of what frugal innovation in Europe can look like. The first example I want to show you is from a company called Helios, and they make use of the power of the sun to disinfect water. If you have a bottle of water and you put it into the sunlight, after a while, just based on the sunlight itself, most of the bacteria in the water will be killed. Some people don't know it, although it's a really good and very simple and very safe method. But some people don't know that, and a lot of people don't trust that system, even if they know it. Why? Because you cannot be sure that you really have exposed your water bottle for long enough to the sunlight. And you don't want to put it there too long, otherwise it could called Radi, which you can see here in this picture. And it's a device that you place next to a water bottle, and it measures the intensity of the sunlight and the time the water has been exposed, and then tells you with a simple smiley symbol, okay, now you can drink the water and it will be safe. So that's one example of what frugal innovation can be like. The second example is manufactures cameras for industry for various purposes, and some of them, they have a lot of functionalities and a lot of potential application areas, but they came up with a very simple one that is just suitable for specific areas in manufacturing where you need a specific distance and just some resolution. So they thought for a lot of applications, this is actually enough. So why shouldn't we come up with a very simple frugal innovation that is much less complex than the current cameras would do? And they did so. It's called the DART camera line. So now from business to business, back to business to customer. My next example is again from a small Austrian company, or from an Austrian company, not that small. And they thought that smartphones are used widely and becoming more and more popular still. But there are some customer groups that are not specifically targeted right now. And the group they focused on is elderly citizens, because they found that a lot of elderly citizens want actually something that is really simple, but still smart and looks nice and is reliable and so on. So they came up with a frugal innovation for elderly citizens, which is the Emporia smartphone. It really looks nice from the outside. Like if you don't see the screen, you would think it's like an iPhone or something. The difference is that when you start it, you can see that this user interface is much more simple than in other phones. It's really easy to use it. You don't have to look into any instruction guidelines. You don't need a looking glass to figure out the symbols and so on. And it's also incredibly robust. So if it falls down or you spill water over it or something, the smartphone can cope with that easily. It also comes along with an emergency button. So if an elderly person is hiking, for example, going for a long walk or outside on a boat or something like that, and they come to an emergency, they can press the button and then the phone will call one of their relatives or friends and automatically go into loudspeaker mode so that they can ask for help from somebody. So this is also a frugal innovation because it's comparatively cheap compared to other smartphones on the market, but it doesn't compromise on the quality. What it does is it looks at the specific context, the specific application area, and is really tailored to this specific market of the elderly community. The last example I want to give you is from a German manufacturer of machines. So another manufacturing example. They have machines that are really complex, that can be used for multiple opportunities, that can be configured to individual customers in various ways. But they also came up with a very simple CNC machine that is pretty small, like tiny, and very simple in use. But again, as the other frugal innovations, it's restricted. It cannot do everything. You cannot tune it for the individual customers, but it's super simple and super restricted. But the things it does really, really well. So the quality of the machine is really high. It's just restricted from the functionality perspective. And to sum that up, these are the characteristics that we observe in frugal innovation from what we've seen in Europe, but also overseas. They all share a good sustainable edge. So they are usually, from a logical point of view, you don't try to make something cheap by using a bad material, for example, or having bad labor conditions, but you try to do something that's sustainably solid. They all are pretty modest, which means that they restrict what they can do as functionalities. They reduce that to the core, and that helps them to be affordable compared to other solutions on the market, and also to be very robust, very good quality, high quality, very reliable. And as I said, one of the key points is that they're targeted, so they don't try to make everybody happy, but they look at a very specific group of customers or a very specific application field, and then they are tuned to that specific field and deliver the best performance for that field, but not for others. Okay, so much as an introduction to frugal innovation. Now, something about the next point I want to talk about is the relevance. Why is frugal innovation so important, and how will the importance change in the future? So in emerging countries, drivers of frugal innovation are that there is a growing middle class. People are looking for affordable solutions, solutions that have good quality, that are sustainable. The specific requirements are often met. So often you have solutions on the market that are either super cheap, but of bad quality, or you have something super expensive that a lot of people cannot afford. And frugal innovation comes in at this point because it provides you with an affordable, good quality, sustainable solution that's affordable, because it's restricted in what it can deliver. In other countries, on the other hand, there's an increasing demand of simple user-friendly solutions. A lot of the solutions we have here in Europe are very complex. They can do everything, but they're so complicated often that it prevents from doing anything. And you have to look into long manuals, or you have to train your staff to use even a simple machine. So a lot of people are not happy with the complexity of the solutions that are offered. In addition, sustainability is a big topic here that is increasingly important still. So again, sustainability is also a strong driver, and there is a kind of high-end saturation. So a lot of very complex, very expensive solutions, you have a lot of them. What is lacking is something that is more simple and more affordable. In addition, in general, globally, we can see that there is a change of lifestyle in society. A lot of people, they want to go for something that is more simple, and that's called the lifestyle of voluntary simplicity. So some people that cannot afford something that is very complex and expensive, other people, they don't want that, even if they could afford it. And that is a growing trend in society that comes along with conscious consumption. You choose carefully before you buy something. You have fewer belongings. You don't buy everything. You try to reduce what you have because it's also a burden. You have smaller homes. You try to live an ecological lifestyle, so you recycle, you save energy, and so on. You try to live healthy, and of course, also you try and have a good work-life balance for yourself. So this again is a driver for frugal innovation, because people will look for solutions that are more simple, more affordable, instead of having everything that is expensive and complex and so on. And of course, the last really important driver is the current COVID-19 pandemic. I'm sure you're aware of that. That has been a push for many, many great examples of frugal innovation worldwide. This is an example from an online challenge called the Code Life Challenge that was started by a hospital and a health center, by an IT company with an online platform. And the idea was to collect examples or ideas for a simple, low-cost, and easy to use and easy to maintain ventilator for hospitals. There have been great examples of how this has been done, how hospitals came up with frugal ventilators, but of course there's still a high demand, so they set up a challenge for that and came up with great ideas of how this can be done. And there's many other examples of how frugal innovations have emerged from the current crisis, because you want something simple, you want something fast, you want something that is affordable even for health institutions or people that don't have a lot of money. So this is like a good basis for frugal innovation to emerge. Some of the success factors that we've observed and things to consider when you develop a frugal, something like Emporia is doing, which is a very interesting example from Africa. They provide households and companies with solar energy systems, and customers do a first payment and then pay on a low daily fee. So they don't have to make a big investment at the beginning. To hear something from you about your understanding of frugal innovation. The relevance, do you think that frugal innovation will pave the way for the future, especially in current times? And the challenges, which challenges do you expect when you look into the development of frugal innovation? Is it coming up with clever ideas, making sure that you're innovative enough, or being radical enough, or whatever? Thank you so much for your attention.
Yeah, ma'am. Participants, you can just post your queries in the chat box.
Comments, questions from your side?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, actually in YouTube and during the registration, we got few queries. Can I take the read out for you, ma'am?
Say it again, please.
We received certain queries during the registration as well as in YouTube,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Yes, I'd be happy to, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. The first question is, does frugal innovation enable sustainable development?
I think very much so, because as I said, for us, frugal innovation is very much related to sustainable development. You try to come up with a solution that is environmentally friendly and still affordable. So it's a strong facilitator or a strong, it can provide a strong impulse for sustainability. A lot of the frugal innovations we see, they use either very natural materials, or they use renewable energy, for example, solar power or others. And from a social point of view, there's many frugal innovations that are started or inspired by a specific social concern, some health issues, like a ventilator challenge, right? Or the need of elderly people to be able to go hiking without being scared if there is an incident, will I find help fast enough? So also, for example, the smartphone that I presented also contributes to social sustainability, for example. So I think that really is the core aspects of it. Any other questions or anything else I should explain about that?
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. That's a wonderful reply. There was one more query, ma'am. Yeah. How do a student knows that an idea is an innovation?
Okay, I mean, innovation is something that is new, right? So it's new on the market or new to a company, or it has to have a aspect in it. Otherwise, it's just like if you have a product and you replace some of the material to make it cheaper, or you have it produced somewhere else, then this is not really an innovation. It has to have some aspect of novelty in how things are done. And if you want to make sure that your idea is really innovative, you can of course in the process use some creativity methods to come up with new ideas. Like, as I said, looking into other industries or things like that. And then it's always good to have a close cooperation with potential customers, so that you talk to them and see what are their concerns, what are their needs, or you present them some first simple prototypes to get a feedback. And of course, as you always have to do, you have to do market research. You have to look at what is already out there on the market, maybe not just in your market, but also in other countries. But that has to go like hand in hand, that you look at what's available on the market, and also what is it that your customers or what the target customers want.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, my side also I have one. It's a simple query. So actually, our college mostly focuses on green innovations. They have a green club also. So what are the factors that can mainly place while building this green innovations? Because most of the ideas which are coming from the students, for implementing, they need a lot more money it involves, as well as policies also.
Oh, okay.
So what the best area that we can focus where there is a more scope for this frugal innovation in technologies? Can you please suggest any particular area, ma'am?
Okay. I'm not sure if I completely understood. Is it about that you have to invest a lot of resources in the process, or that it's about some environmental technologies? Could you
Yes,
maybe rephrase it?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, generally, we are right away we are working on this solar energy, wind energy for multiple applications, because we are primarily focusing like taking these things as a source, and the outcome will be for other purposes like cleaning and security surveillance. So for everything, we are including this free source. So for establishment of this free source, that is like solar and wind itself, taking a more part of the money. So building of this outcome part, that is we are making use of the waste from the college. So is there any particular area we can focus?
Okay, I mean what to focus on will strongly depend on your needs, right? Like what is it that you really need? I think there's good examples, especially in solar, from what I in general. I think energy is in Frugal with
Got two more from YouTube. How can we cut a innovation project into a product to the market?
Okay, so if you have an innovation project and you want to proceed to really bring it to market, it's really important, as I said, to look at the business model, like what will be my sales channels, and what are the partners that can support me in the process. And it's maybe related to the next project, that if turn it into a startup. I mean, there are some startup support agencies, some startup funds that can support you in that. So I would advise to take account. I'm not sure if I can say more about that. I mean, if you have a good concept and you just think that it will be possible to scale it up, look for some suitable partners. And when you test it, that's maybe another important point. Don't just test the product, but also test the business model. Like, will the whole business model work? The price that you think you need for the product, and how will you deliver it to them? You know, like, where will people look for it, and can you bring it there somehow? So these are things you would have to take into account.
Yes, thank you. That's a nice answer, ma'am. Ma'am, we got. We'll take up two more queries, ma'am, if you permit. Is that fine, ma'am?
Yeah. Yes, of course.
Yeah. Thank you. This is from student Hemsundar. He's asking, like, what are the factors differs normal innovation and frugal innovation?
Yeah. I mean, a frugal innovation is one type of a normal innovation, I would say. So it's like it's an innovation. So the process itself is not so different. The difference is the focus that you set, that you really restrict yourself and try to make something super simple, but super reliable, super good quality at the same time. So throughout the development process, you have to take that into account. How can I make it super simple and affordable for people? And you have to streamline your innovation in a way to that. I mean, other innovations that can usually innovations, especially here in Germany, are like high-end innovations. So you come up with an additional new feature for a complex product to try and make it even more complex, even more sophisticated. And frugal innovation is just the opposite. So it tries to be more, but it's also not just like tinkering, like that is not really just all that cannot be really scaled. To come up with something that can also live on, that is like how from normal.
It's understood, ma'am.
A lot of time just talking to people and observing them before you develop the product. So you don't go and discuss the idea with them. You first look at their situation and observe them in their environment to learn something from it, and then prototype what is needed from their startup. Is interesting from the agile methods, which means that you make small prototypes and show them and then revise them and then show them again and then revise them again. So you make several cycles with very simple thing, because people often so you have to kind of get it out of them, and you can do so by observing, by listening, and by presenting them different variations, for example, of what a product could look like, and then it makes it easier for them to decide.
Okay.
And
We got one more query. Sorry, ma'am, keep on your participants are sending. Can frugal innovations be patentable?
of course, I mean, there are some patented frugal innovations, yeah. So, yeah, they can be.
Okay. This is a query from my end. From Purdue University, by William Oakes. So, human-centered design. So, design thinking. Will it be frugal innovation? Will comes under human-centered design, ma'am, under design thinking part.
Yeah. There is another question that I would like to answer to, if it's okay for you. Somebody asked about failed startup companies. That is really an interesting topic that we did some research on. And what we usually see is that companies either don't too many, so they do something so or manage to do something that has good quality and a nice concept, but it's affordable for the specific group that you're targeting. So these are really two of the big challenges. And then the other thing is how you present it to people. You know, have you understood what they need, and do you present it in the right way? Because frugal innovations don't want to be sold as a cheap solution, right? So the successful frugal innovators, their frugal innovations being super cheap, super affordable, but they talk about the specific highlights and the simplicity as a big asset.
One last query, ma'am. What are the core elements need to be considered for frugal innovation process?
Yeah, I mean, these are the core elements you need to consider are the typical stages of innovation process, like talk to the customers, come up with ideas, come up with a simple concept, set up a simple prototype. Important is that you have iterative cycles, you know, that you don't go just like in one flow, but that you come back, ask more questions, or that you revise your prototype, show it again, and things like that. And as I said, don't just come up with a concept for the product, come up with a concept for the business model too while you do so. Otherwise, you could have a great product, but it still fails, and that would be really a bad thing. Yeah.
Ma'am, this is from our. Do angel investors and industries support Frugal as they are?
That's a good question. I can give you an answer for industries and for public bodies. For the industries is like the large companies, they are interested in frugal innovation if they can see it viable, you know. So if the product is frugal and it is not very expensive, but there is a large group of people who will be interested, then it's interesting also for large companies to do so. And there are many examples people that have venture frugal innovation, that have bought startup products and integrated them in their portfolio, because they saw that even though it's a frugal solution with a low price, it can be very interesting for them financially. Some of them are even more interesting than the high price one, just because much more people buy it. From the public funding point of view, what we've seen is focus of, for example, the German ministry. So there was not a lot of funding for frugal innovation. It was more about new technical gimmicks and high-end solutions. But this is coming more and more. So we see more and more financial support for that also from the public bodies.
Sorry, ma'am. One small glitch is happening. Participants kindly mute. Ma'am, it's a little bit. Students are always students. They are asking like, doing.
Yeah, at present, we are working with a small German company and helping them to develop a new frugal solution. And we're doing what I talked about before. So we spend a lot of time talking to potential customers from very different potential customers to see who would be the most interested or who would be most interested in this solution and what are their specific requirements. And right now, what we will do next is we will have a simple prototype, and we will talk to some of the most show them the prototype and get their feedback on the prototype and the business model. So, as I said, we're designing that together. But this is one of the projects we're currently doing that we are supporting is in bringing their frugal innovation idea to the market.
Yes. Yeah, ma'am. Actually, we have taken 5 more minutes extra for your allotted. If you say okay, then I'll take one more last question, ma'am, from my end because.
Okay. Yeah, time from my next speaker, but from the next speaker, but
yes,
yeah.
This is the last query, ma'am.
Okay.
Here as a student is asking like, who is the best one at frugal MNCs or local firms, ma'am?
They both have their specific advantages. Multinational, a lot of resources they already have. You know, they have a lot of technical expertise. They have a lot of learnings from other products, so they can leverage that. If you have more like a small local company, you have the advantage that you're usually very close to the customer or much closer to the customer, and that you're more flexible, more agile. So this is one of the advantages of specific. Yeah, for the MNCs, it could also be easy to scale it up. So yeah, I think you have to consider what are the specific strengths and build from there.
Yeah. Sure, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for your valuable responses for our participants, and thanks for your patience. Shall we go for the next presentation, ma'am? Sorry, is waiting up for us also.
Yes, thank you very much for all of your interesting questions, and
Yes. Thank you so much, ma'am. Another guest is in the area of frugal innovation. So there is none other than Dr. Rajneesh Tiwari sir. To invite Rajneesh Tiwari sir. So before I'll take sir's profile. So I need to say one more word before seeing the reading of sir's profile. So as an Indians, we know a person named Swami Vivekananda. He's famous in the youth. So as he said, if the mind is intensely eager, everything can be accomplished. Mountains can be crossed. So this quotation will says it says that. So if you have a dedicativeness and an intense purely towards a particular area, so you can make out even mountains to a small atoms pieces. So this will be suited for our today's Rajneesh Tiwari sir, as sir has many credits into his account. I'll just throw out some of the highlights, stars of achievements of Rajneesh Tiwari sir. So, Sri Rajneesh Tiwari sir is a senior research fellow and program leader at Institution of Hamburg University of Technology. Currently, sir pursuing postdoctorate at TEAM. He leads research on global from this. Sir is a visiting fellow at Swinburne University of Technology, Melbourne, Australia, Tokyo of Technology, Japan, Santa Clara University, Santa Clara, USA, and RMIT University, Melbourne, Australia. He is an Japan Society for the Promotion of Science. Also, in his pursuit, like market and customer orientation for his study of mobile banking and a postdoctoral scholarship by Hamburg-based Klusen Simon Foundation in 2014. He has published practice-oriented. SAR is also a regular to deliver talks at business, scientific, and political venues. So now I will take the pleasure of inviting the next guest, Hari Garu. Please deliver your valuable words to our participants. Sir, warm welcome, sir. Sir, you're sorry, sir. Sorry to interrupt you, sir. Sir, your mic is mute, sir. So can you please unmute yourself?
Yeah, is it better now?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Now it's very clear, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, thank you. Then, yes, dear organizers, dear ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure about, as you've already mentioned, frugal innovation has been one of the core research areas for me for many, many years. And it is something which is close to my heart. And the topic that you have selected for today, can frugal innovation contribute to the global side? And this is what drives me. And that's why I'm really glad of this topic, especially in connection with your students, because it gives us an opportunity not just amongst researchers, among the companies, but also to bring it to those people who are going to create innovations and innovative solutions in the next years. So I'm really looking forward to my interaction with all of you and to discuss these things with you once. Who was in possession of 500 personal items, 500 personal items. Today, an average European, according to studies, in terms of statistics, obviously, it may be different for individuals, but statistically, a single European possesses something like 10,000 personal items, books, clothes, USB, pen drives, computers, gadgets, etc., etc. If you count everything which is just his or her personal item, it is something like 10,000 items. And I'm sure for many people in India, it would not be too different. Yes, for many, it would be different, but there would be many others for whom it is similar. So we have got a societal challenge. We waste away energy in some places, and some other people do not have access to energy. And at some point of time, if we go on using those non-renewable sources of energy, maybe at some point of time, no one has got energy. So this is roughly the context that we are talking about when we speak of frugal innovation, and especially in today's context where we are talking about frugal innovation for a sustainable world. And with engineering students who are going to create such solutions. So I'm quite excited to talk about this. And now I think I've made the context pretty much clear, but with the amount of the number of people that we have today in the audience, I think it would not be practical to ask you now this question, where does frugal innovation come into play? So I'll continue with this, but now just think about it yourself. Where does frugal innovation come into play? How can frugal innovations help us resolve this problem, this challenge of sustainability? Sustainability for our planet, for our ecology, for our economies, for our society. So to give you one more example now, how this challenge, which has already been a tremendous challenge, it has become now even more complicated, even more severe with the coronavirus disease that emerged in 2019, so the COVID-19 disease. If you think of it, and I guess many of you in the audience, the young students would be now too young to know what was happening in 2008-9 in terms of financial markets and stability that was threatened. So in 2008-2009, there was this global financial crisis, and it was really disruptive. Lots of countries like Greece, Portugal, Italy, Spain, they faced a major threat to their financial existence. The United States was one of the worst hit countries of this global financial crisis. And also in India, we felt some after effects of it. And those of you who are old enough to know what happened at that time, how disruptive it was, would be surprised to see that sort of disruption, that heavy disruption that occurred. It still made only a loss of the global GDP to the tune of 0.1%. So it was just 0.1% of the global GDP that we lost, but it created such a havoc, such a disruption. But the great lockdown of 2020 is now, you can see, it is leading to, according to the estimates in June 2020, to a loss in global GDP of minus 4.9%. That means it's even 50 times more severe than at that point of time. And now you can imagine many people who have lost jobs, many companies that cannot survive anymore because they cannot sell their products, or they do not get the inputs to create their product. The intermittent products, the components are not available. So it is the already very severe problem has become even more difficult due to the corona crisis. And what we have to see is that the future strategic markets are going to require solutions. What are the core fields where we as a society, or also we as a company at a micro level, should be focusing upon? It is, for example, mobility solutions. You can just imagine one of the major causes of development in the Western world has been the availability of mobility, the personal mobility, that people can be productive, that they do not have to waste times just trying to travel from one place to the other and losing their productive time. You think of it, I was in Japan some 7-8 years back and traveling by bullet train from Tokyo to Kyoto. You cover the distance of about 700 kilometers, I think, in less than 3 hours. So you can travel more than 700 kilometers the same day, do your work and return back, and the next day you can work. And if we do not have it, take the example of India. If we want to travel in India for a distance of 700 kilometers, you have to travel at least one day, the next day you will travel back, and in the meantime, maybe you have got 2 hours or 3 hours or 4 hours of productive work. So we lose a lot of time. So this is one of the strategic markets. We have to create and provide solutions of mobility, which are affordable. So mobility, energy. There are many people around the world, even today, who do not have got access to energy. And even though if we have got electrification in our villages, in many cases, the electricity is not 24 hours present. And even if it is present, there is a lot of fluctuation. The voltage is not stable. So we need to create solutions that can provide affordable and high quality access to clean, renewable energy, and so on and so forth, healthcare, nutrition, communication, housing, in the fashion sector, beauty, education, pleasure. These are the strategic markets where we need solutions. We need solutions that can cater to the aspirations of a population, especially of a young population in a country like India, that we have got a tremendous amount of young people in the middle class, the lower middle class, at the bottom of the economic pyramid, who want to move, who want to progress, who want to have better standards of living. Today, I've not got a picture with you. I wanted to show it to you. Some years back, I was traveling in Mumbai, and then I saw a big poster on a bus stand with I think with one or two very young children living in slums. But then there was a caption which was really capturing, mind blogging, which said, "I'm not living on the street, I'm living on my dreams." So people are having aspirations, people want to move up the ladder. So we need to cater to that market. We need to create solutions that can cater to the aspirations while keeping the consumption of resources really in control. On the other hand, mostly in the economically developed world, but not exclusively, obviously, we have people who are re-questioning their consumption. There are people who say, do I really need to have those 10,000 personal items? Do I need to have my air conditioner running all the time, even when I'm out of my house? Do I need to purchase 50 pairs of shoes? So this is another movement. There are people who want to downgrade, downsize their ecological footprint, who want to reduce their consumption. But again, they are going to be active in these very same markets. So this is where the need arises for frugal innovation. And frugal innovations are passionate about rationality. There is one advertisement which I want to show you. It is an advertisement which Tata Motors brought out in South Africa in 2005. And probably you cannot read it because it's not so legible, but you'll see it in a second or so. It says, more features you need and less that you don't. It's an advertisement for Tata Indica. And it said, yes, our car has got power steering, ABS brakes, tinted windows, central locking, airbags, so on and so forth. And what it does not have is, for instance, a splash sticker on the side of the car, promotional girls with balloons, a jacuzzi, and rain-sensitive wipers. Now you can imagine what message Tata Motors is trying to convey. Think of it in an interactive session. If we were seeing each other, I would have maybe raised the question, but I unfortunately do not see you right now, so I'll let that part be. But just think for yourself, what is the message that Tata Motors conveyed, probably? In my point of view, the message is, it does not have a jacuzzi. Obviously, you do not need it. And it does not have rain-sensitive wipers. Why? Because you're selling a car in South Africa. It does not rain every day. It's not raining all the time. If you see it's raining, it's drizzling, you just need to press a button and you can switch on your wiper. So it does not have to be automated. What's the point of it? Let's say developing and integrating a rain-sensitive wiper incurs a cost of, let's say, 10 million rupees or whatever number, $100,000. Now you can imagine every consumer is going to have to pay $100, let's say any amount, let's say $100 extra to purchase this car because he or she is being forced to purchase a rain-sensitive wiper, which he or she actually does not require. So frugal innovation is something where you take out those features which are not required. You go with a product design which is having basic functions, and you lead to a democratization of innovation so that you can say, okay, this is the basic platform. And if you want something additional, you can pay for it and you can get it. Then maybe a rain-sensitive wiper would not cost just 100 euros or dollars more for the person, but rather 500 because not everyone is purchasing it. The economies of scale would come into effect. But then the person who wants to have it would pay for it, but not everyone else who is now otherwise being forced to purchase it. So this is one of the basic ideas of frugal innovation, which I believe is, of course, my interpretation. But I believe this is what the promoters tried to convey to the consumers in 2005 in South Africa. Another example of frugal innovation in a high-tech field. So frugal innovation is not necessarily about low-tech solutions. It is not necessarily about creating only cheap things. It's about things which somehow work out, like jugaad solutions. No, it can work. Think of the Mars mission that India did. India did for a fraction of the costs of how for what amount the science fiction film Avatar was created. Avatar cost, I believe, something like $300 million in production. And our ISRO sent the Mars mission for, I think, less than or around $60 million. So even less than what a film costs. This is frugal solution. This is how we can create affordable excellence. So this is what we are talking about, being appropriate in the use of your resources. It is not just about poverty and poor people, it's about creating appropriate solutions for the target group, for the specific segment that you are trying to reach out to. Now, in the Corona crisis, you can see in here many examples have come up of frugal solutions. I do not know how successful they have been, but we know that, for instance, here on my right side, I see IIT Delhi's most affordable diagnostic kit for coronavirus, which costs less than $10 and delivers results almost instantly. On the other hand, if you are going to do it for, I think in the Western world, roughly you have to spend $200 or 200 euros for this diagnostic for a corona test. So frugal solutions, you see, can help us a lot in solving problems while maintaining quality. And if you think of it, what drives consumption? What has been the dominant logic? And is it valid today? So the dominant logic around the world has been, especially in the industrialized world. This is a poster. I saw something similar with the same statement 20 years back in London, where the big poster saying, "I shop, therefore I am." So many people, many consumers have defined themselves only through the prism of their consumption. If they cannot consume, then maybe they do not even exist. So for many people, it has been like that. And slowly, also in India, a consumption society is coming into existence. Many people, they need to go to the mall, they need to purchase things, they need to use things and then throw them away. It's wasted. People did not need it, but yes, the very feel of having something new, purchase something new is sometimes, in many instances, maybe now in certain places, it is a new trend. But on the other hand, in the Western world, now it is decreasing. The next picture that you see like 1995, we had fat gadgets and we were rather thin. Now our gadgets are getting thinner and thinner, and they're sitting in front of those gadgets. We are actually gaining weight. So this consumption has not been really beneficial to the society. It has, in fact, hurt the society. And the dominant logic which was based on the presumption that there is a high demand for high-tech, expensive, highly sophisticated products, and as a result of high and growing purchasing power, I think we need to question that. It is obviously going to be true for many people even today, but also there is an increasing number of people who say, I do not want to have this lifestyle, or the products are simply too complicated for me, I don't need it. Why should I be spending so much money and resources for something which I'm not going to use? So that is one thing. Second thing is, obviously the state, the government would have to intervene if the consumption went on just like this, unchecked. Because as I mentioned in the beginning, our planet does not have enough resources to cater with that. Okay, so this is how we have to question this dominant logic, and we have to come to a new normal. The old normal, which was based on consuming more, producing more, and keep the economy growing always. You think of this discussion that we have in India many times. Our GDP growth rate is decreasing, and we make it as if like it's such a gloomy thing. Yes, the GDP growth is good, but you think of it, it's a relative growth. When you are growing from a low basis, obviously the growth rate would seem to be much higher than if you are growing from a high base. And GDP grows also when some accident happens and you have to go to the hospital. So where does this growth come from? We need to see that this growth is not a target unto itself. The target is a better standard of living for people. If you use digital solutions, you don't need to spend so much money as you had to pay earlier. In India, you travel with Ola and Uber, and you do not have to pay so much as you used to pay earlier for the taxis. The GDP would decrease, but in fact, your standard of living has increased. So GDP is not the only criterion. We have to define it in a more composite way. We have to take care of societal sustainability. We have to ensure business sustainability, economic stability, and healthcare for people, access to healthcare, access to education, etc. So this is where we need to reach out to, and this is also where education and engineering education would play a role, in my opinion. You think of how solutions typically look like. It's here in German, and it's more about Germany, but on the one hand, you can have a very simple solution, money here, cards here, press button, get your ticket. Or you have solutions which are so complicated that you need a whole manual to understand how to use them. And afterwards, you do not need to use 90% of the features. You use only 1 or 2 or 3 features, but you spend so much money, so much resources on that. Think of your mobile phones, how many apps you have got. By the way, each single smartphone today has got a higher purchasing power that the entire world in a cumulated manner in the early 70s. So we are having so much computing power in our mobile phones. And how many features do we really need? How many features do we really use? So this is, frugal innovation is about questioning your own consumption patterns. What happens many times is, in the business world today, is people create some sort of innovative product, some new technology, and then they go on looking for problems which can be solved with this technology. It's not bad, but it's a really technology push. But what about market pull? What about the actual market needs? Who requires the proper illusion? So an innovation should be actually a solution. There is some problem, and the innovation, whether it's a product, whether it's a technology, whether it's a service, whether it's a business model, it solves a particular, a specific problem. But the existent paradigm has been about creating a highly complex, highly expensive solution, and then look for people who could possibly use it. And this is what does not work in today's world. And Lisa already showed some great examples of frugal innovation, so I'll not go into details. and keeping in mind also the time pressure that is here. But those of you who are interested can look for this Mac-I or Mac 400, Mac 800, which was created by General Electric in India. What sort of a great solution it is. An ECG machine typically costs something like $10,000 US in the United States. And GE came up with a machine, which was initially called 400, then came the 800 version, then Mac-I and I for India, which costs less than $550. And it can do the same sort of operations. It does not do 500 different types of operations. It has a very focused functionality, but it is also very portable. People can carry it to rural areas. It is easy to use. It is robust. It can cope with the with dust, with electricity outage, etc. So it's very, very suitable to the given specific Indian context, and 20 times cheaper. And here you see how they made it possible. And especially for you as engineers, it is interesting. They did not develop everything. They did not develop everything in-house if they did develop something. So for instance, earlier GE used to always use only in-house products, in-house components. But for this particular machine, they decided to use printers which are commercially available, to use chargers which you use also for your mobile phones. So that way they tried to reduce the number of components. They tried to reduce development costs and development time, but they used the same algorithm which is used in the other machines. So the quality remains very high, but it becomes very focused and it becomes affordable. And there are many great examples like this. I would suggest to you, if you wish, please go to the website of the Anjani Mashelkar Foundation, and you would see some great ideas which have been created using frugal technologies or frugal innovations. One important thing right now, which I would like to emphasize is, once more, frugal innovations are not about jugaad solutions. We are not talking about solutions that somehow do the work, but do not possess the quality. A core criterion for frugal innovation would be to fulfill all regulatory and safety standards. With all of this, what you see here, there may be great ideas in a specific situation. So let's say hats off to all of this, what we see, because we can overcome certain problems at a given point of time, but it cannot be the standard solution. A truck, every time it has to cross a river, does not need to travel that way. We need to have a bridge. We cannot expect from people to ride a bicycle and reach the other shore of the river with wet clothes. We cannot go on purchasing those small sachets and throwing away that plastic. It cannot be recycled anymore, and which is creating then innumerable problems for the environment, for human beings, and for other living beings, for animals, for birds, etc. So we need to come up with solutions that really provide an excellent solution to problems, excellence, in an affordable manner. And I think what is important is, again, affordability is not just about monetary affordability. You should not think of creating something which is low cost alone. Affordability has to be about something which goes beyond the monetary capacity to pay. The monetary capacity to pay would remain a core criterion. This is the basis. But after that, you have to also take care of social justifiability. If you come up with solutions which are very cheap but are destructive for the society, very cheap weapons, very cheap tobacco, cheap bidis or cigarettes, alcohol, drugs, etc., then it's not something which we are talking about when we use the term affordable excellence. It has to be something which is justifiable to the society. Second, it has to be compatible with the given infrastructure of your target group. If you come up with some fancy solution which cannot be used because, let's say, there is no running water, there is no electricity, but your solution requires it, then it will not work out. So you have to see what is the infrastructure that your target group typically possesses, or can at least purchase with minimum additional resources, then it is wonderful. But if it is going to require something which is simply not feasible, then it will not work out. And finally, but also most importantly, affordability should also mean affordable to the environment. And I think in the previous session, someone raised this question, frugal innovation, how it can be connected to sustainable growth or sustainable development. This is, I think, a core criterion. If you come up with a solution which causes only damage and harm to the environment, then it is not affordable excellence for the society. It is not morally justifiable, but even going beyond that, it will not be economically sustainable for you in the long run, because the government, the environment protection agencies, etc., will intervene at some point of time and stop your product. So I say affordable excellence, and affordability has to be a multi-dimensional affordability. Only then can we do it. And what sort of modes and routines can be employed for this? We did a patent analysis, and based on that, there are some ideas. I'm not going into details so that we have enough time for discussion. But basically, what we can do is, if you imagine the innovation process as comprising of aspects like design and development, performance features, production, distribution, customer orientation, and sustainability, then first of all, it begins with a compact design. In the reduction in the number of physical parts which are required, maybe you can use digital solutions for performing certain functions. You can substitute certain mechanical parts with some electronic parts. Use of easily available gadgets. So whatever is available in abundance with your target group becomes useful. Collaborative development, you do not have to do everything yourself. You do not have to do everything within your own company. You have to go beyond your firm boundaries, and you have to go beyond your national boundaries. Because every time you do not have to reinvent the wheel. Maybe someone has got access to very good technology, and you can collaborate. So what is important is you can reach great excellence. You can reduce your product development costs and time. And for that, it is a very useful thing to do it in collaboration with others. Performance features have to be high quality, high reliability, being very specific to your target group, and be flexible, but not just blindly adding more and more features to it. Be very specific in your performance, in your defined performance criteria, parameters, and then do it in a very, very good manner. In the production, you should reduce the number of production steps that are required. Make more cost and time effective production. Then it has to be also taken care of storage and logistics, use digital channels where it's possible, customer orientation. So you don't create a product just because you've got a great idea. Also, imagine yourself into the shoes of your potential user. What is it that the user needs? Because many times in the product development, engineers get really so fascinated by their own ideas that this product development becomes a goal unto itself, an objective unto itself. Oh, people forget that it is actually being created for someone else's needs. So that we have to keep in mind: easy access, high affordability, and reduction in need for material in terms of sustainability, and how to minimize waste. How this product maybe can be recycled, upcycled, whatever, used again. So these are, I think, lessons which are especially important for engineering students, and with that also for you. And if I were to define frugality now, not in a very academic sense, but just to say, what is frugality? Then I would say it is focused functionality, being very robust with your product so that people can use it also in contexts where maybe there are challenges involved, just like dust, just like heat, just like with power outage, being very resource efficient, user friendly, because many people who are going to use your products, maybe they are not familiar with it. So it should be possible to use it intuitively. Provides you excellent growth opportunities. It has to be affordable, as I said, for consumer, society, environment, and infrastructure. And it is more simplified, it's less complex. It does not mean it has to become like sort of jugaad. It just means you very knowingly, very deliberately take out everything which is avoidably complex, which is not actually needed, which is actually not required. So if you do that, then it becomes what I say, it is a rise to frugality. It's not you're going down. It's not as if you're creating something cheap. You're creating something extraordinary. You're creating something excellent. You rise towards frugality and you do not fall down. And I think I would skip now this part. To main conclusion, frugal is about creating affordable, clean excellence. It is also in the frugal age. As I mentioned, we have all those challenges that need to be solved. We need to live in a frugal age to create solutions. I use that here, which enable excellence less for all and everyone, so that we do not create exclusive societies, create inclusive societies for anyone, everyone, affordable solutions. And with the help of digitalization, with the help of digital transformation, it should be possible, feasible to create solutions for the needs of even one person, because we don't need always those high economies of scale. We can create digital solutions which are independent of that. That's it from my side. Thank you very much, and I look forward to your questions and discussions. Thank you very much.
Sir, thank you so much, sir. We have questions. Just give me a second, sir. I'll just read out.
Yeah.
So the first query is from. So he's requesting like frugal innovation.
Can turn on the video. Whoever is asking the question, maybe then one can see.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Jagdish, can you come forward, please, and raise your query? The session is open for queries. Yeah. Thank you, Jagdish, sir. Please open up your query, sir. Rajni sir is waiting. Yes. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Good day, sir. Sir, are the frugal innovation products depend upon customer expectation view or product development view? What is the... Sir?
Sorry, I did not get the question. If you could.
Sir, actually, Jagdish sir, please little bit louder, sir.
Frugal innovation product depend upon customer expectation view or new product development view to create demand in market. Sir, is customer base பண்ணி ரெடி பண்ற ப்ராடக்ட்ங்களா இல்ல டிபெண்ட் upon new product development oriented sir?
Yes, sir. Sir, Rajni sir, Jagdish sir is asking like, so frugal innovation products either depends upon customer expectation or new product development view.
Yeah, thank you very much then for telling this to me. Thank you very much for this very exciting. That's the trick. It's a very tricky thing when you're creating frugal solutions. If you think of the Tata Nano, for instance, many people would call it a frugal innovation, and it failed. So it was something where the product development was done actually independent of customer expectations. When the Tatas decided to create Tata Nano, they did not go for a market survey in the very beginning. as we know the story, Mr. Ratan Tata saw a family on the Mumbai streets in rains and on a two-wheeler, and he thought we need to create something which can provide a roof over those people and a more safe. So, but that alone did not work. On the other hand, if you want to meet customer expectations, then sometimes it may not be enough, because sometimes you obviously get some new great ideas, but I think the trick is where you meet, you have an overlap between the two. You should know what target a clean slate approach, find out what are the customer needs, the unmet needs. What is it that the customer is willing or in a position to spend for the solution? And with that way, I think you can find a match between those two things, technology push and market pull. I hope this answers your question.
Thank you so much, sir.
Sir, we will take up one more question, sir. I request Narendra Reddy, sir, can you please open up because your question is it's a very good one. You can get clarity from Rajni, sir. Narendra Reddy, sir. Rajni, sir, I'll just read out the question. So, Narendra Reddy, sir, is asking like, in India, roughly 40,000 startup companies are available. However, the success rate is very less. Does this frugal innovation help in this regard?
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you very much. Again, a very thought-stimulating question, I would say. Yes, many startup companies fail. First of all, the question is it different for non-frugal innovations? I think startup companies generally fail quite often. I think not more than 10% of all startups succeed also here. So first of all, it is independent of frugal solutions. And the second thing which I was emphasizing also during my talk is many times people confuse frugal innovations with cheap solutions, jugaad solutions. And especially what happens in India is we have a culture where research and development is not really always promoted. People try to come up with solutions which can help you immediately, but they are not really long-term solutions. And what happens, a core problem with that is, as the disposable income of that user increases, he or she is very likely to move up the ladder and go for some better solution. So the startup suffers. And I would say if we can create a solution that matches exactly the aspirations of that target group, think of startups like Ola and the hundreds of examples in India which have succeeded now. So I think again the trick is to really know what the unmet needs of a particular target group are, and how to best solve them, keeping in mind affordable green excellence as a paradigm. And I hope then, or I could imagine that then the success rate would be at any rate higher than it is today. But as I also said in the beginning, startups, it's like a gamble. You hope there would be enough demand for your product in the market, but it can fail. So I think going for affordable excellence might at least enhance your chances to succeed.
Thank you, sir. Sir, this is just a discussion kind of thing, sir. Our principles are shared. Sir is asking like, I feel most of the rural innovations in India are jugaad, and scope for frugal is picking in recent times, but success rate is very low due to financial limitations and marketing. Please share your thoughts, sir.
Yes, thank you very much for this discussion point. I think it is absolutely correct, and it matches to the previous question. Many solutions fail because they were more, they focused on monetary affordability. So that they did not really take care of this composite understanding of affordability. And I think financial limitations can be overcome if we go for collaborative development. This is again where a challenge, but also a big opportunity lies. Many of our companies, startups, especially in the rural areas, they do it on their own, either because there is no one else to collaborate with, or they are not aware of it. They do not have the information. There is no infrastructure for that, or simply lack of access to information. But if we go for collaborative development with suitable partners, then these chances would increase immensely. Just imagine, many technologies people go on developing from the very beginning. The chance is that the product development maybe would not succeed, 50-50. If it succeeds, your development costs will come to it. You would lose maybe a lot of time in developing your solution. And sometimes that technology may be available with someone who is willing to share it with you on a revenue sharing basis. Then you get access to proven technology at a very cost-effective term. So what I believe is we need to promote in India the culture of collaborative development, both within the industry and between the industry and the academic world. You have look at your own college. You have so many people. You have got so many students. You could do collaborative development with the industries, and that way the industries could get access to very high quality information expertise. And I hope that way those financial limitations can be overcome. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Sir, one more query from Rajesh. Yeah. Can you please spell your name and then please ask your query?
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
So please go ahead. Dear participant, please.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. Myself, Ham Sundar. Sir, I have a query, sir. If you are trying to reduce the cost of the product, user might be think like product was not good quality. So at that time, how we can convince the user, sir?
Good thing. It is obviously one of the challenges in a market like India, especially. I think there can be multiple ways to address this problem. First of all, it is obviously about matching the aspirations. If you have got a good quality product, then I believe we still would have a lot of people who would purchase your product. Think of it. How many of you have got really an Apple iPhone or the top of the notch Samsung or something else? I guess it's not the majority. So why do you purchase it? You are still convinced that this product is good enough. It's a great product, and then you purchase it. Yes, there would be need and demand for luxury products, but there would be many people who would get convinced. Now the question is, how do you get convinced? And if you think back, what is it that made you convinced that you got a good product? You need to work on your brand. You need to create a good brand value. If you work in collaboration with very renowned institutions, with very renowned firms, then again you get a bonus in terms of your quality. Think of this example that I presented. You knew, or a hospital knew, this ECG device is created by General Electric. They knew General Electric would not sell us something which is of bad quality, even though it's 20 times cheaper than the standard product. Then they purchased it. Similarly, I think you can imagine it for many different products and services where people would be willing to get convinced if we have good certification, if we have collaborative development, and if we can really prove through reviews, through customer experience, and they would purchase it. Think of like what is the most successful car model in India? In passenger car. Does anyone know it? It is Maruti 800, and then Maruti Alto. It is a very affordable car, and it became so successful, people purchased it. So I think it is a challenge, and that's why we need to work on it. It's not going to work automatically for everyone. The Tata Nano lost on it, but there are 100 examples for also very successful products. So I believe it can be done. It's a challenge, but going for brands, going for collaborative development, going for reviews, certifications, that would help. Does that answer you, Hamsundar?
Sir, really that was a tricky question, but you made it really perfect answer, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you,
Really, I
sir.
got with examples also. Sir, one more query, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
How
Yeah,
yes, sir. How frugal innovation promotes social sustainability?
See, this is a very interesting aspect which is discussed not so often, but I would say it is one of the most important contribution of frugal innovation. So thank you for raising this question. Think of it, I'll give you another example from outside India. As you would know, Europe had a big problem of refugees coming from Syria and other parts of Africa around 2015-14. There was a big crisis. Millions of new people came to Europe, and it was a big issue, created a lot of things. But now the question is, why do these people move out of their own countries and go to somewhere where they believe they would have better chances of living? For that, a very small example. If you look at the healthcare indicators in sub-Saharan Africa. Now, let's take the example of communicable disease, infectious diseases. Do you know how many deaths occur because of communicable diseases? The share of communicable diseases amongst all deaths in a given country. Yeah, if you know it, maybe you can write it in the chat. But it's very, very, very low. Most people in the developed nations die because of incommunicable diseases like chronic diseases, heart attack, heart disease, blood pressure, etc., which are not infectious. So people die because something happens in their own bodies, and whatever, and then it leads to a death. Communicable diseases amongst total deaths is really very low. I believe it's for Europe, for Germany, something around 2% of all deaths. Also for India, it's relatively low, I think around 7 or 8%. But in the sub-Saharan part of Africa, this number is well above 63, 64%. So people die because they get, let's say, something which could have been cured with very simple medicines, but they do not have access to those medicines. So now the question arises, if I would be living in that part of the world, what incentive do I have to remain there if even a small infection can lead to death? If there is no access to reliable electricity, if there is no quality education available for my children, I would move out. And now you can see the logic. If we do not provide such sort of solutions, affordable excellence to the society at large, we are going to face problems in regard of law and order. You can think of itself in India. There are millions of people who are poor, who, if they do not get access to affordable, excellent solutions, if they cannot include societal sustainability, that all people can enhance their standard of living in a way which is economically and ecologically both ways sustainable. And this is where, in my opinion, the connection of frugal innovation is to societal sustainability.
Sir, thank you, sir. From our principal, ma'am, said fruitful information shared by you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Hello. Yes, sir, sorry for the interruption.
Okay.
This is Chiranjeevi from Sri Venkateswara College of Engineering, sir. I want to register a query, sir. For developing frugal innovations, who are the best supporters? Is local firms or MNCs?
I think that's a $1 million question. I think the question should be two things. One is it is really specific to the solution that you are trying to create. So it would be specific to, let's say, if you are and you do not have access to MNCs, then maybe in a given context you have to work more with the local people, local resources, etc. So in some cases, or maybe like in some other cases, you do not have someone at the local level who can support you. So then again, you have to go for someone who has that resources. But ideally, in my opinion, you need both of them. What happens is you need to have a first-hand knowledge of these problems. What sort of issues are there? What sort of unmet needs are there which should be addressed? And maybe locally, there are many times people who have got a great knowledge about creating a good solution, which can be an acceptable solution. What sort of willingness to pay for that solution is there? So for that, local knowledge actually absolutely necessary. So what I said earlier was as an exception when you do not have those resources. But having local knowledge provides you a great problem knowledge. What problem is there? And having access to MNCs can help you get maybe financial resources, technological resources, access to some good technologies, maybe experience in the similar fields in some other parts of the world. So if you can combine the two, I would say that is almost the ideal situation. But as I said, it depends on the specific context.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
So thank you, sir. Shall we take one more last query, sir, with your permission? Yeah. Sir, this question is from Keshari Panda, sir. Sir is asking like, sir, in India level of sustainability development is not so good compared to others. Sir, according to you, what is the reason behind this? Whether it is due to lack of technology, funding, or manpower?
So you just like you talked about ecological sustainability, or like is there something specific or sustainability in general?
Sir, in general, might be sir is asking like in general Indian perspective, sir. What's stopping India for sustainability?
Yeah, thank you. I would say it's a multifaceted problem. What happens is, on the one hand, I would say India was traditionally a very highly sustainable society. If you think of just 30, 40 years back, in villages, you would not have anyone who was collecting things for recycling, etc. Even then, you would not see any plastic waste. People used everything which was almost like in a circular economy. Things would be used for one thing and for the second thing and third thing, and it would go back to nature, and then it would somehow come back through nature. So India was traditionally a very sustainable society, and unfortunately we lost it in the race to industrialization because we tried to emulate the Western model, but not entirely. We just copied some things which were possible for us, maybe due to given financial resources, due to given educational resources, etc., etc. So no faults or fault finding here, but just saying somehow we copied only some parts. We copied industrialization, but we did not copy other things. So that is one thing. Now, lack of financial resources. Many people, even if they wished to create something sustainable, at first they do not have resources. We do not have infrastructural resources. If you want to, like I come from India, my parents live in a rural part of India, and we were once talking about creating or installing some solar panels. And then my father said, it is useless because if you have got any issue of maintenance, then nowhere in around 150 kilometers is there a mechanic who can resolve that problem. So we need to create a suitable ecosystem where you've got all sort of stakeholders who can help each other. We need to have better resources. We need to have better information. Many people are not educated. Many people they do not care. Many people are simply too poor to think of anything else other than how they are going to earn their next meal. So I think there is really a multifaceted problem, and we need to work on multiple fronts to create a more sustainable society. But the good news is, I think an increasingly high number of people is recognizing this need for sustainability in terms of societal sustainability, ecological sustainability in India. And the climate change is making people aware every day that the sort of drought we get, the sort of floods we get. This is a constant reminder that we need to work more on it. And I hope we get the signals, and with people like you, and with the faculty, with the students, we can take this message actually to the common man and woman, obviously.
Sure, sir. We will try our level best, sir. Thank you, sir. We have taken up your more time. I apologize for that.
No, it's my pleasure to speak with you and have this interesting discussion. Yes, thanks.
Sir, it's my personally one more last query, sir, if you permit, sir. Just actually time is running out, but can I take up, sir? One last more query.
Sure.
Yeah, please. Sir, this is because this is regarding our pandemic situation, sir. He's asking like how frugal innovation plays a role in fight against COVID-19, sir. So one last question, sir, please.
Yeah, thank you. I'll take maybe a minute or two, even more. I would like to know from him, I think the question is from Hemasundar. What do you think after two discussions here with Lisa Wolfert and with me? Maybe you share a couple of lines, a couple of sentences, and then I will say my view. Okay?
Sure, sir. 1 minute. Yes. Yeah. Hemasundar, I request Hemasundar participant, please.
Yes, sir.
Come forward and say a few words about Lisa ma'am and Rajnish sir sessions. How it might be.
Sorry. What I want to say is that maybe Hemasundar can say something about what he thinks that how frugal innovations can play a role in this pandemic.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Yeah. Hemasundar, you understand, I guess. Please.
Yes, sir. So yes. Frugal innovation we use it to reach all our countries, sir. Because of in our country, majorly we have middle class peoples, higher class peoples, so that we need to reach all the peoples with low cost, sir. So that frugal innovations will helps in that conditions, sir. So frugal innovation very useful thing in that, sir. But a user might be think like whenever cost of the product is decreases, he might be think like it was not good product. Maybe it was very easily damaged. That's like, sir. So that we need to be convinced them to purchase our product and utilize within low cost, sir. That's it.
Thank you. And I think basically you have answered the question that you raised yourself. What happens is we know that in this pandemic situation, we need to have solutions that are affordable to our society, to our country, and to the individuals, to the individual households. And at the same time, the solutions have to be really of a very, very good quality. So we cannot wait for the traditional methods of diagnostic, treatment, etc. You know, like a typical medicine which is created in a traditional manner, it costs something like 1 billion, 4 billion euros, and it takes 8 to 10 years. What we need to do is here pool our resources, come up with something which is frugal in the sense of affordable excellence. Think of it, what India has done. You can call it maybe jugaad, but see, like even the use of railway coaches for isolating patients. So you have to think of solutions that can reduce your cost while not unnecessarily compromising on quality. So frugal innovation is, I think, indispensable for dealing with this pandemic. And as we have discussed, yes, and there may be some people who have this snobbing effect and who would not purchase something which is cheap or rather more cost effective. But a majority of people would be happy to purchase a frugal product if they know that it is having good quality. It's not a jugaad solution, it's an excellent solution. So again, this entire thing comes up of certification, collaborative development, etc. But if you know that this particular diagnostic kit is coming from IIT Delhi, and it has been created together with an industry partner, and it costs only $10 or 650 rupees, why would you go for something which costs 3,000 rupees just because you are afraid that it might not work out? But I would say IIT Delhi is a name good enough, trustworthy enough that you would trust it. So I believe you need to have some flanking measures, but if you do them, then you can be sure of getting a good response from the market. Maybe not all 100% consumers would purchase it, but at least maybe 90% would purchase it. So that's a number which is good enough, fair enough, isn't it?
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Sir, thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your valuable discussion shared with the students as well as faculty, sir. Sir, from my end, so we have many more queries, sir, but the time is running out, sir.
I would say from Chiranjeevi, then maybe just half a minute for that, and then I will finish.
Sure, sir.
Chiranjeevi, if Frugal Innovation conduct any hackathon to engineering students, there would be a chance for many startups. Yes, there is a hackathon coming up in a few weeks or months, maybe. We will announce it together with IEEE, and maybe it would be something which is interesting for you, and if you are a part of IEEE sensors, maybe this would be the opportunity, and we are increasingly going into this direction. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your patience as well as the energy, sir. Sir, especially I would like to thank from your presentation, like which you presented sustainable development goals, future strategic marketing markets, and characteristics of frugal innovation, sir. That really impressed us a lot. Thank you so much, sir. With your permission, I'll take 2 more minutes to present our student innovations in our campus, sir.
Yeah.
Shall I, sir? Yes. Just I'll drag up the things. I won't take much time. So myself, I'm Sudhir, working in SV colleges. So this is our green campus. I can say in our region, ours is the only green campus which you really love. And these are the people who are responsible and moral support for our event. So let me start with the innovations are done by our students. So this is one of the project done by our CSE team. So they created automated agriculture and sericulture system using IoT. So actually this system previously it cost nearly for setting up. One of this student has his own sericulture system. So his parent investing more amount for automating it. So then he had a thought like he has to do something help for his parent. So then from second year onwards, he continuously worked on it, and he participated national level Chhatra Vishwakarma Awards. So they finally made one system which is of low cost. So they have now he is in final year, and he has a tie-up with his local village groups, and he is distributing the same product with very low cost, that is around just 5,000. By investing 5,000, they are getting almost 20,000 profit. So that is how he made a mark from his parent problem. So So next, this is a crop monitoring drone using precision agriculture. So actually, so many drones you have seen, but the specialty of this is along with the seed spraying. So it is going to provide the surveillance, like protecting from the animals. So it has image capture from the image analysis. It will just make sounds and some light throws on the animals, whichever object it detects, apart from the greenery. So this is soil analysis using deep learning, which is again developed by CSE department. So they developed at low cost soil test from our laboratory technology. People can test it freely from our department. So this is one more product which is developed by from electrical department. So this is multi-purpose solar and wind energy developed for charging the 5 volts ranges. So you can arrange this. Actually, this is the prototype model. Next, they change this product as a decorating item where you can keep it outside wherever wind is more and sunlight is more. So then you can charge your mobile phones and other 5 volts devices. So this is another innovation, street light. So generally everybody know street light control system mechanism. The speciality of this is you can directly uh, keep this at any light station, and you can disconnect the wires and you can connect to this. So it can reduces the intensity of the light according to the near surrounding area objects. So that is the advantage of this. So they proved the energy saving from this compared to the normal lighting system. So this is one more this I can say frugal innovation, because nowadays the floor cleaners are costlier, vacuum cleaners. So just they made with uh, like usual materials which we use in at our home. So now they made this 5 different purposes it can satisfy. That is uh, mopping, cleaning, sucking, vacuum cleaning, all the 5 types of things it can perform. So the cost of this equipment is only 4,000. So this is one more equipment which is developed by mechanical department. That is tri-wheel grass mower. Students have made this in third year itself. So it can do all the purposes in the field by sitting the farmer sit on the bike, and he can spray the seeds, and he can cut the grass. So this is one more fruit plucking robo. They made with very low cost, so around 2,000. The purpose is same, and this is another I can say frugal innovation, because it's a multi-purpose vehicle and applied for patent also, which is used for agriculture. And next, so here are this is one more innovation done by our EC department final year student, and really it is going to create a mark, because he is creating a robo arm for the people who don't have hand. Generally they go for the Jaipur hand, which is more costlier. So now he's making within 20,000 to 30,000. He reduced half of the amount which is spent by for the actual hand. So, and this is a hydroponic setup which a girl from SVCE, so she made a small model, so who can make as a they can use it as in their home as a decorating purpose as well as a plant grow purpose. So it will be controlled by LabVIEW system software. So this is another intelligent sanitary surveillance system. Generally, everybody is doing some automations on sanitizer systems, but the novel thing in this is, so they are not capable of knowing whether he has applied that sanitizer or not. So he come up this solution, and he made it, and it is available in the cost of 1,000 rupees. So, and the last one, this is your BV in your hands. So this is this project we received national level best 5 projects by TCS Enginex competition. And why? Because they made one setup, portable setup. You can fix it directly to the any electric vehicle. So it completely monitors the inside power usage and range estimation. With artificial intelligence algorithm, it estimates the range also. It will displays on the board as well as on the mobile itself, because they connected this to the cloud. So thank you for your patience. That's all from colleges. We have a lot more, but just lack of time, just I'm dragging up. So now I'll take the privilege to taking the vote of thanks. So first of all, from SV College's management, I heartfully thank to Lisa ma'am and Rajni sir for spending your valuable time with our young engineers as well as faculty research scholars. So we really enjoyed the session by knowing the what is frugal innovation, because it's a buzzword now, which is really required after pandemic. We need a lot more solutions for different problems. So frugal innovation will really make a mark. We understood, like from your presentation, we understood like this really makes a mark for a better world. Thank you, sir, and thank you, Lisa, ma'am.
Thank you for the attention and the opportunity.
Yes, ma'am. Sir, thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, then.
Yes, sir.
All the best to you, and hope for interaction in the future.
Yes, sir. Sure, sir. Thank you so much, sir. We need your help, and ma'am, we need your support in future also. I'll be requesting your help in future also with your permission.
Of course, yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much, ma'am. And dear participant, thank you so much being here. And I thank my team who helped from last 4 days. On the first 2 days itself, we reached 1,200 registrations. Rest of the 3 days, we got 500 more registrations. Now we reached totally 1,800 registrations. That's a huge members. I hope you all enjoyed the session. And whatever you need, please join our group. We will post the new things, and we will be in touch with Rajni sir as well as Lisa ma'am. We will acts as a medium for you and speakers. So thank you to the management of SV College of Engineering for providing this opportunity for our department to organize this wonderful session. And personally, myself, it will be a great honor for me to introduce as well as to host this session the world class familiar persons like Lisa ma'am and Rajneesh sir. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to SV College of Engineering. And last word, the man behind this program, Narendra sir from CMTA Bangalore. Thank you so much, sir, for providing such a valuable resource persons for our students and for our Indian youth faculty. Thank you so much, sir. Finally, Lisa ma'am, thank you. Rajni sir, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Please provide your feedback. After that, you can leave the session. Thank you, Lisa ma'am.
Thank you. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you, ma'am.